mid-market investment bank, broker-dealer specializing in pre-IPO investing. And I mean, Ed just told us about the state of play, where we are in terms of this tender offer, but the fact that also OpenAI might raise new funds. Just tell us about the extent of demand to get into this company, despite some of the internal turmoil.
Well, great to see you again, and thank you for having me. You know, OpenAI has been one of the hottest, companies certainly in the last year. I mean, its previous tender was at 28 billion, and now it's 3x that. And as you mentioned, it may be going up even more in a primary round. We have seen, almost unlimited demand for OpenAI this year, and of course, it's a pretty new phenomenon. I mean, the company just released ChatGPT in November of 2022. So I mean, its revenues have gone from 0 to $1.6 billion run rate reported, at the end of 23, and I'm hearing they might finish 2024, closer to 5 billion. So the growth in the company is immense, and the demand for stock in OpenAI is also immense, and we're seeing a ton of trading and interest on our platform today, and I think that's why you're seeing, the valuation continue to go up even a month after a tender is about to close.
It's that trading active tense that I'm really interested in. The tender is a transaction, right? And my understanding is it's very hard to get in on that tender. But what struck me in the days prior to Sam Altman initially being dismissed by the board was how liquid the market was, the secondaries market for an OpenAI shares. And I just wondered if you could explain to us how that works.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to be clear, the week that Sam Altman, decided to leave and then come back again was definitely a near-term wet blanket.
I don't know that he decided to leave, Greg. I think he was fired, but please keep going.
That may be, but it was a wet blanket for a moment in time. There was a lot of, worried investors, and of course, I think a lot of that has been solidified. I think there's a feeling of stability now. The team is back in place. But trading is interesting because, as I said, there's actually consummating a trade is challenging. I mean, there are a lot of bids. There's people who want to be owners of OpenAI. Obviously, it's 49% owned by Microsoft. It has a funky corporate structure, with the combination of a not-for-profit. And so I think people are setting up entities, special purpose vehicles, et cetera, by which they hold the shares, and they're actually sometimes selling units in those special purpose vehicles versus actually trading the shares in some cases. Clearly, the tender offer is actually a direct trade of shares, but people are trying to find all kinds of innovative ways to actually trade the shares, and we're facilitating a lot of that at Rainmaker.
Is there any other company that can compare? I mean, there are some other very heady valuations in the private market still, but they've been fewer and further between. They're just some obvious culprits that everyone wants in, and all the others are just second tier.
Yeah, the biggest in the last couple of years is SpaceX. SpaceX has literally and figuratively defied gravity. In 2022, when most stocks were down, SpaceX was continuing to rise, and we see a tender being announced in SpaceX to the tune of about another 750 million at a 180 billion valuation. So SpaceX has been our hottest stock on our platform for several years now and continues to be. Even though the valuation has reached a very high level. I think it's something like 20 times, projected 2023 revenues. So, SpaceX has been very hot. Anything AI, frankly, since ChatGPT launched, whether it's Anthropic, we just saw Anthropic announce a valuation around at the end of December. We see, Elon Musk himself has XAI, which, I'm hearing is coming out at a 30 billion valuation. So AI companies are definitely hot across the board, clearly led by OpenAI. But I think that's where, and we saw the rise of NVIDIA in the public markets, and we see the numbers they're putting up. There's clearly a lot of demand, for AI capabilities. And so companies that have real AI businesses, real technology are seeing a lot of demand.
The volume of demand's there, but specifically, where is it coming from? Institutionals, high net worth individuals, who's buying?
It's all of the above. I mean, clearly led by the institutions who have, the larger pockets of capital. So definitely strong demand from institutional capital, but it goes to family offices. It goes to high net worth individuals. I think there's a fear of missing out right now. And I think it's also, frankly, there's a vanity play. I think people like to say they own an AI company. And, I think there's still a little bit to be desired in terms of properly valuing these businesses because the revenues are still very light. And so a lot of it's based on the prospects and hopes for the future. And we'll see what happens if growth starts to normalize in some of these companies. But right now, the demand is very insatiable across the board.